Okay, Clark Gracie, where are you taking me?
Man, I'm kidnapping you to Ridgecrest, California.
Ridgecrest, California. For you kids at home who've never heard of Ridgecrest, it's like 5 hours in the desert.
It's out there, man. It's out there in the middle of the desert. I didn't hear about it either until, about a year ago or so. And now we're lucky enough to have an affiliate out there.
Now keep in mind, Clark does seminars all over the world. Italy, Spain, Scandinavia, Asia,
It's been a
South
blessing.
America. And you're taking me to the desert, bro.
Yeah, a little road trip.
This is like the opening in a horror movie, right? It's a massacre at Ridgecrest. If I don't come back, you guys will know the truth.
And this isn't live, right? We're going to post this like in a couple days, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Right.
The horror movie that may or may not come out.
Or maybe it's me that comes back. That would be the plot twist, right? If you weren't doing jiu-jitsu, what would you be doing with your life?
I'd be like you, Rick, traveling the world, putting on camps for people, jiu-jitsu tourist.
Living the lifestyle.
Yeah. No, I don't know. If I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu at all, good question. That's a hard thing to imagine because I think it would probably be a different person.
Right.
Like it modifies your personality and your values and yeah, definitely. Jiu-jitsu weirdly changes you. That I think people that do jiu-jitsu think it probably understand, but people that don't do it, they're like, why would that sport change you? But I think we value community and it affects our personality because we get humbled and we learn to respect maybe a little differently. And,
yeah, I can divide my life really between before jiu-jitsu and after jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it swallows you up somehow, sucks you in.
So do you usually think of a lesson plan before you do a seminar, or you just kind of vibe off of it at the time?
I used to write down a whole seminar plan every single time I would do a seminar when I was like in my early 20s. And I would try to make something like really nice sequence of moves connected. And I really
right.
try to make it like smooth for the student. And then I just started doing that like maybe once or twice a year. I'd put together like a nice sequence of movements and I just kind of like repeat it throughout the year. So that, makes it a lot easier for me because I'm just repeating it. But
right.
And it kind of gets, chip away at it throughout the year and make it the better and better, like the delivery, and sometimes adjust a few things depending on the audience.
Yeah.
Step it up for the upper belts or maybe more competitive schools, or simplify for those who need it. But yeah, that's generally what I do. I like to go in with a lesson plan, but I have been starting to sometimes kind of just wing it, because sometimes you go to a school and
you don't know who's going to be there.
You don't know who's going to be there. You don't know what to expect. Sometimes it's a really mixed bag of people, and but the only problem with that is that if you go again, then you're like, wait, what did I teach last time? And you can't remember.
Right.
So you don't want to repeat stuff. But either way, you end up finding something. I try to always teach though stuff that they won't be able to find on YouTube, stuff that they would not be able to even come across. So what does that mean to me? That means like that I'm teaching things that I've discovered on my own,
right,
through my jiu-jitsu, through my time training, things that I've been, this made this work for me, or this is something I'm really excited about right now. I just discovered this, or someone showed me this that I know no one else is using, so.
Yeah, it's funny how we all kind of unlock jiu-jitsu in a little bit of a unique way, and we have those epiphanies and way of thinking about certain techniques and positions that are kind of unique to us because it's sort of how we unlocked them,
Yeah, but I do think it is good to have some structure. People come, they expect that you are ready,
Right.
And, I've seen a lot of instructors come And she's like, all right, what do you guys want to learn? You know, not a lot, but it happens from time to time. It's really the older generation that just like ask me a question, you know. And sometimes these guys don't know what to ask, you know. Like they just, you know, they don't know what to ask, and they need that. They want the direction, right? Seems like.
Right. You don't know what you need.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're early in your journey, you're like, okay, what would you like to learn today? Well, they don't know. What do I need to know? I have no idea.
But a lot of times, stuff that I've had a lot of good feedback from teaching seminars or classes where it's like a bunch of techniques that people know already, but there's like details within the technique that, for me, it went from a technique that I know to a technique that I can actually pull off, the stuff that I can actually use. And it was those little details that made a big difference to me that I discovered either on my own, or I took a piece from one person, took another piece from another person, and kept like creating this hybrid, there's the donkeys, technique, you know, where, you know, now we've created like a really high percentage submission, and you don't see it presented that way from anyone else, you know. So
Right.
Most of the time I'll teach stuff that like I said, you know, it's a submission that people know, but I found these details on my own, the things that work for me, and people are like, yeah, I knew that already, but I didn't know that, you know. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, the other day I picked up something I'd never seen before from you, which was when you're armbarring somebody from spiderweb and they kind of slip under the leg and they come up, and you take that arm and you shove it in the pocket so you can turn it into an omoplata. And that was so clever.
Yeah, that was something I came up on my own. It's something that I think I was doing before I even knew I was doing it, you know. Like I would just instinctually react that way when I feel like, oh, I'm gonna lose it. You know, what does my instinct say? My subconscious kicks in and just and goes into, you know, salvation mode of that scramble.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I would teach it because I know that's what I do, but then, like I said, it gets better and better every time I teach it, because I would get people resisting it and asking questions about it, and wait, how does this work? Doesn't really seem like it would work for me. And then I, you know, do it with some people resisting, like, okay, let's see what happens. Ready, set, go. You know, try to escape. I'll try to finish. You know, you're doing it, and then I'm now able to dissect the move, break it down, not as a technique that I'm reading out of a textbook, but actually something that, you know, I'm adding in those little fine adjustments, fine details that I really use that when I'm sparring,
Right.
You know, and when I really need to jump on it, you know, and really make it work. So it helps me like refine the moves again and again and again, you know, until it becomes this like A+ product, you know. And that was one of them. That's a good example of them, because it was a technique that I would teach, and I say, yeah, you put it here, but then I didn't realize that no, I'm actually doing it a little bit differently, and I'm adding, you know, this whole thing where now I'm sitting up to move the arm, and I'm just not moving the arm by itself. But there's a lot of really cool like body mechanics and physics that make it work well, you know, make Jitsu work well, right? And the more we know about our bodies and how the other person's body works as well, the better we are.
It's so personal and individualized. It's like music, you know. In music, there's only 12 notes. Everybody has to use the same 12 notes, whether you're classical or, you know, player or jazz or whatever. But yet, look at all the styles of music, and it's kind of the same as jiu-jitsu. You know, you kind of unlock it in a way that makes sense to you, but there are other ways that are just as valid, you know.
Yeah, my dad used to say, there are only so many ways a human body can move.
Yeah. And
so once you understand like the limitations of a joint, or, you know, a person's choke tolerance or whatever, like you can start to create traps. You can direct people, manipulate them through these joints and through movement, and it's cool because like it makes sense. Like the older you get, the more technical you get, the less you actually need your strength, your speed, your agility, you know, because you become just like a lot more technical, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention old man strength kicks in, right? Still waiting for that to happen.
Bro, you've got that old man strength, though, and you've got. I was telling Sandra, my girl, the other day, I'm like, I think that Clark doesn't have any slow twitch muscles in his body. I think he is just one big fast twitch muscle because everything you do fast.
You make me sound like a spaz.
No. You're just fast, man. Like the warm-ups, you're like doing all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh. But I didn't feel so bad. I looked over at Eric, and he was moving slower than me on the warm-up. So I thought, okay, it's not just me.
Well, I think that comes from also just being very familiar with the move, right?
Right.
The more familiar you are with it, like the first time you do it, it feels hard, and then it gets easier and easier every time, and then pretty soon you're doing it in your sleep. And also, I think competition brings that side of explosivity and intensity.
Right.
That I think that I only would have learned that through the intensity that competition brings. You know.
Mm-hmm. What's the hardest part of jiu-jitsu, do you think, now that you've taught so many people?
Hardest part of jiu-jitsu, not as an instructor, like as a professional, but like probably as a student, I would just say like that ego smash and questioning yourself. Am I any good? Things like that.
Yeah. What's your worst seminar experience? Just canceled flights and stuff like that?
Yeah, I definitely had one once. Very few times that I've ever been like late or had to cancel a seminar. I think the only time I've ever done that was, luckily it was a 2-day seminar. Unluckily, but luckily it was a 2-day, and it was an affiliate of ours in Corpus Christi, Texas, and I was traveling with my son, and we just couldn't get out of Dallas, you know, just having problems with the flights. But it ended up working out. We ended up doing just the 1 day, but lost the first day, unfortunately. Last October, I was flying from Finland to Japan, and I walked to my flight after buying some Turkish Delight at the airport, which I had a little layover. But then I got there and they said, oh, we just closed the flight like 2 minutes ago. And I'm like, no way, you know, like the plane's still here. It's going to be here for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, let me on.
Let me get on my flight. And they're like, nope. They're very cold, very hard in Istanbul. And they put me on the next flight like 10 hours later. But unfortunately, I missed my seminar, but they saved it because they ended up doing it the next day. And they had to change locations. And they said, it still worked out really well. But that's a little embarrassing, you know, to miss a flight and lose one.
Of having a late connecting flight, came in and literally running through the Amsterdam airport trying to catch my next flight. And same thing, they were literally closing the door right as I was running up, and they let me in. But it was one of those things where I literally ran like a mile and a half, you know, carrying my luggage.
Who would have thought you would have got distracted and lost your mind in Amsterdam, huh?
Yeah.
What happened to you before you got to the airport?
No. That was after. No, that was on my way to teach a summer camp. What happened in Amsterdam, that was after.
Right on.
You really get into some of the details on this one. Okay, so whether I'm like kind of
forcing him in. You see, I'm digging my feet into the ground, kind of force him to roll. Or I'm just kind of following it, right? He goes to turn one way or the other, and I just like take it, right? I'm kind of following it. And notice how much I'm like shrugging this shoulder into his tricep as I'm connecting. And then even after I connect, I'll probably reset that shoulder on the tricep, okay? Instead of like my chest. Chest is good too, but so you're good here, but I really like shoulder. I've seen people talk about putting the head here. I think that's not the best. But I've seen people get fancy and do stuff like that. I don't think it's very strong. But the shoulder here is good. Now, all of that is because his defense, like we talked about, is again turning and facing. Exactly. Go turn it. And at this point, my wrist starts to hurt and I lose my grip. So it's a good defense for him, at least defending the submission. Doesn't necessarily get him out of the position, but he gets out of the bad spot in that submission, right? So I'm turning in here, or he turns. I got that shoulder here, I'll connect, and my shoulder comes back in. Okay, I won't take too long here to quickly, I usually have this leg up, to quickly step over the face and close my knee on his chest, right? It's really important that we have that leg stepped over the head, because here he will follow his arm if I don't do that, right? And I won't finish it. Okay, so I need to control the head. We don't necessarily have to be sitting on his head. We just need to be blocking him from following up, right? You might prefer this way. You might prefer this way. This might even feel a little safer. In some ways, might be stronger. You know, it's kind of up to you and the angle you're at and the time, you know, whatever feels right at the time. Maybe where you're coming from as well. Having this knee down creates less space, so it's good because his head cannot come out this way. So keep that in mind. And this leg, I also like to have this leg up sometimes because this works almost like as a kickstand, I like to say, like a support beam here, stopping him from going back to being flat, right? Normally, he's gonna be really happy to turn to his belly, but if he's aware that he's walking into a submission by doing that, then he's gonna wanna come back. And this knee here creates a nice support along with my shoulder and the pressure of this fold of my chest to stop him from coming back. And if nothing else had stopped him yet, hopefully the grip being deep enough, rolling forward, making your form strong, or even that big overlap that we're doing. Turn in, put all your weight into your elbow real quick. Yeah, well, hopefully that will hold what you need to do, you see. And see, my shoulder is helping me here. I'm cheating a little bit by using my shoulder and his elbow. But once that elbow starts to come through, it gets really hard to hold, you know. My grips alone, it's hard to maintain. Okay, so our finishing touches on this one, right? You can either be here with a nice tight pinch, toes are active on the floor, or have that one down and this one up. Some people talk about stepping over the bicep. I don't really care about that too much. If you get it, it's fine, but not like I have to look for it, okay? I like to bring the hand away from the body first and then draw like a big rainbow up and over, okay, for the finish. If he's holding his belt, which is very common, okay, that's even more important. Now, maybe the upper belts will enjoy this detail even a little bit more, because I'm sure a lot of us have been here and been like, man, I can't break his grip. Usually at this point, he's probably tired from defending his guard or however he got here, right? Being that he's tired, he's gonna be breathing harder, and I can actually see his breath going up and down with his stomach. A little, to me, this is like a secret detail, because I've never heard anybody say this, except for some of you may know that are old enough. Hoist Gracie, right? That guy's son, the first UFC champion, Hoist. And I heard him say that when, he's actually my father's cousin, and when he said that when you're exhaling, you're a little less strong, you're a little less forceful, okay, like with your resistance. So I'll go here, I'll catch my breath, and I'll look at his belly. I'll go 1, exhale, 2, exhale, and then 3, exhale. I explode this direction. He's not gonna get hurt me pulling this way, right? And then we slow down as we bring him back, right? So a little extra like detail on the finish, just to make sure we can break the grip, okay? Also by having this leg up, notice where my power is coming from. My power is not coming from my arms, not coming from my lower back, right? It's coming from this foot, right? Like I'm about to take off, right? So having this leg on the floor is like you're putting the energy of your hip into this grip break right here, you know? So everything is connected to explode right here, right? I'm even tightening this up to make sure when my chest moves, his hand moves with me, right? It's not my chest and then the arm, right? I'm not using my arms to pull. My arms are just a tool to connect me to his arm And then my legs is the main power. And my upper body moving away, right, is the main power to move his arm away from the belt. And then up and over, okay? Now, where do we go up and over? Knuckles, for me, okay? Knuckles to the lower back. He's a strong guy. That's why I picked him to do this move for a demonstration. Okay, I'm not gonna break with my arms. I have to use my whole body, probably at the right time as well. You know, I'm not gonna let any luck be present there. I'm gonna use all the technique we can use, you know, his breath, everything, to hopefully break that grip at that time. Bring his knuckles behind his lower back. Why? Because at this angle of his elbow here, which is less than 90 degrees, his strength of his tricep is gonna be much weaker to fire than if it's at 90 degrees or if it's farther away from his body, okay? So when he goes to extend his arm to fight out of this now and make it hard for me to finish, look at the angle of his body. He's getting stronger and stronger the straighter his arm becomes. But as soon as I break it and getting over here, and I get it here, then he goes to extend his arm, he's a lot weaker. And to just make him a little less strong again, let's put a support beam behind his wrist. Look at my right elbow, comes here. Not to finish him, but just to make sure this extension of his wrist, extend your wrist, is that much harder because of this support beam that we threw in, right? Why not put it there, right? Why keep it here if we can put it here, okay? And of course, everything else is connected, okay? And I'm in a good position to finish here. And of course, that's gonna be on the variation where we drop our right hip to his belly, like I'm doing here, and with a rotation for the finish, okay? A little different than this style right here, which he's usually gonna be like, guys with a little bit tighter shoulders, you can maybe finish it right here. But those who have a little bit more flexibility, you're gonna have to move your body, keep it going until you finally get it over here, right? So there's a few places you can finish it and a few little points that kind of slip by us pretty easily if we don't really highlight them on this submission. Okay, and this has helped me a lot on finishing. And of course, remember that if you just can't break that grip, because it may happen, then armbar is always a good option. Okay, you can always sit back for the armbar and work to break the grip after. Okay, one last time. In this position to the other side, whether he turns or I force him, that shoulder's really shrugging in. I connect, reset that shoulder on his tricep, step over, clamp. Okay, you can try to break it here. Okay, and this position is still good, but both knees down, I don't feel like I have a lot of strength. So this leg up or this leg up, try both, see what you like, bring it up and over, knuckles touching his lower back, elbow follows, sprawl on that left hip, keep those toes active, don't let yourself get relaxed here too much, keep those toes active, and a slow rotation. Like I want to scrape his knuckles up his spine towards the back of his head for the finish. All right, let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3.
Just today.
Okay, remember that you can start this from north-south, or keep in mind, you can also be in side control. Okay, you can be here. You can wrap up the arm. Maybe hold the belt at first as a distraction, just securing, blocking the hip. Now when I block the hip and I walk to north-south, he can't follow me, right? If I'm here and I go to walk this way, he can follow, but I put a door stop next to his hip and he goes to follow me, he gets stuck, right? Meanwhile, I get here, right now I'm north-south, I can put his leg up, dig in support and rotate him over to a position where hopefully I can get them, right? Okay, again, let's say that he, just look at a few options here. Let's say I couldn't break the grip. Maybe he's got a hand in hand together. You know, hand in hand or together, that's gonna be really hard for me to break, or even the hand in his collar. If he puts a hand in his collar, that's a little, there's some slack in the collar, so it's super hard to break something that's soft, right? Like if it's strong, you have a different ability. Like the belt has less give, right? But the collar, or of course his hands, is gonna be really hard for me to separate. So you're gonna have to make that call at some point. And remember, the longer that you stay here without making that decision to take this is just another second that he might explosively turn in towards you and bring his elbow to the floor. Can you do that? Yeah, and you might lose it, So, you want to step over the head right away because as soon as you do this, it's going to make him think twice about turning back in, right? Especially when I lay my knee across his jaw, It's going to make it hard for him to go in, okay? But if you're not feeling the Kimura and it's just, you feel like, I don't want to give up on this and start over again, okay? We're here, we're working this. Okay, again, remember that armbar is always a good option. I'm not really even going to go into that because it's just so obvious, right, and easy for us to do. Right, we can easily go to armbar. If you do that, I'll just give you a couple of tips. Once you get here, one of my big goals, believe it or not, is controlling that arm. Okay, so once I'm here, and the nice thing is, even though my legs were a little loose, like I could take the time to step over, he can't pull his arm out because of the Kimura grip. But if I had the grip like this, he could potentially slip his arm out as I step over, right? So this Kimura grip gives us like a really, notice how I'm overlapping this grip too, a lot of control during the transitionary period that we're moving from one position to another, right? For example, Kimura to armbar like we're doing, okay? But to secure this armbar even better, I'll take a moment to pull this elbow in, cross my legs, pull my heels in, and then maybe go back to it or begin to work whatever method you like to break this grip, okay? When I do cross my legs here, it's very important you're not extending. I like to talk about having this leg on the bottom and this one on top of the cross, okay? Because this leg is putting pressure over the face. This one is just helping that happen, okay? So if I do this, there's no pressure over his face, and that's really what we want to keep down, right? If I'm doing this, or if I'm just not paying attention, and he rocks his legs up and tries to sit up, that's what we don't want to happen, right? Where he gets to his knees and can start to fight out of this. So it's really important that we keep that pressure over his face the whole time we're working this armbar here, all right? Also, by crossing the legs, you take out the option of, after I get the arm, his ability to go to hitchhiker, right? Go for hitchhiker, get him and begin because his arm is stuck between my legs, right? If he goes to do any other escape where he's turning and any rotating body escapes, it's really hard because he needs that hand to be free in order to do that. So by crossing your legs, it gives you a bit of security. I would feel very insecure about doing an armbar if my legs are uncrossed and I don't have Kimura grip like that. If my legs are uncrossed, I gotta have the Kimura grip because this gives me security. And if I let this go, I really want to have that, so now I can have the freedom to work a little bit more with my arms. Okay, so one or the other. Just keep that in mind when you're in this position, kind of hunting the armbar, working to break the grip that, whatever grip he may make, whether you use a wrist or whatever, you have to have security of this position, and that may come from your legs being locked or having the Kimura grip. And you can always go back to it at any time, right? Okay. If you guys have specific questions about breaking the grip from here, there's so many ways we can talk about that as well, but from here you have a good chance of getting it, right? Okay. The one I'd like to get into is a back take from here, and it might not be the one that you typically would see people do, which is like sit down, step over, pull over, and come in. I want to get into a little more details, okay? And we're getting from this Kimura grip that, again, we had the Kimura, but we decided, I couldn't break the grip, whatever grip he had. So this is something that helped me so much, and it also takes away his ability to turn in and break my grip by pulling his elbow to the floor. And that's gonna be based on me doing two major things here. Give him a pillow so he's comfortable, of course, and then wrap his head up into your armpit here, okay, with your elbow. So you're gonna take control of his head. I like to put this leg up as well. Okay, so by taking control of his head, like you're just clamping on his head, putting a vice around the head, you really control a lot of the rest of the body movement, right? And you'll be able to feel it, and your partner will be able to tell you that when you're here, Jesus feels a lot more free for sure. Even though I still have his arm, his body in general, he can spin, he can turn, he can kind of rotate in multiple directions. But once I take the head away from him and I just pinch here, think about your movement now from here, where you want to go. It's almost like his whole upper body is paralyzed momentarily here. And what I'll do here, this gives me a lot more security. So again, I can sit down, okay, with more control. I can step over after I sit down a lot more comfortably too. Maintain this pinch as I roll to my right side, okay? And from here, you're at a halfway point. You can either
switch to back to armbar. Okay, you can let the head go. Or you can maintain this and use your knee as an assist, because from here, look, I want that second hook. I can't really reach it. Can't really get there too well. So I need him to get a little taller. Bump him up. Now he's where I need him to be to get to that second hook, okay? I still have that Kimura grip, so at any point, I can go back to the armbar. Okay, it's a great option, but if you do go to the armbar, you're saying goodbye to all the options of chokes that you may have, right? So sometimes it's a good idea to see through your options of doing the chokes, go in the order of availability, right? That you can do, explore your options to finish these chokes, and if they don't work, then you finally go to the armbar. Okay? So working kind of down the line of what's there for you, right? Instead of jumping too far ahead and you can't really work yourself back, right? Or it'll be harder to work back, right? So again, we get to the Kimura, boom, we lock up, we feel good about it, but we just feel like, that grip is just not coming undone. Maybe it's a grip that, the belt is usually easier to break, even though it's hard. But depending on how he's holding, you may feel it's just not gonna happen, okay? So as I remove this leg, I trade it and take his head. Make sure you give him a pillow as I sit down, right? Don't try to step over yet, because look how awkward it is for me. I don't do that much yoga. So I'm gonna sit down first. Now it's gonna be way better, right? I look way smoother stepping over. Once you sit your butt on the floor, you have way more range. To get that second hook in, he's on top of it right now. So I need to fall to my left side. Keep the head in that corner of your hip and wrapped up while you move. Okay, so it's going to keep the position from scrambling. Right. The mistake, and this happened to me so many times before I did this, was somebody think like, I want to take the back, so they sit down and they start stepping over. The moment I sit down, he's already explosively trying to get to the top, and it's a race to see like what I can do, right? It's a race for him at that moment. If he's fast, he's strong, he's powerful, he's explosive, he may have a very good chance of me just giving away my position, right? Because I was in a good spot and I gave it away by doing this. I trying to go for the back and I end up losing it all. So all that explosivity that he has goes away when I do this. Right? And think about how explosive can he be now. Be explosive now. Explode at it, explode at it, explode at it. His head is not going anywhere, and he's just gonna calmly slip into a more controlled back take. Okay? So if you take the head inside, you're going for chokes. If you keep the head on the outside, you probably are thinking more about the armbar. Keep that in mind as well as you kind of make your selection of the submission. Or maybe just decide to hang out there for a little bit as you like. But just going from the transition, because I think a lot of people end up losing this great position that they're in side control because of the lack of head control, spinal control in this case, that they don't have, okay? When you're stepping over the head, you again have kind of a certain amount of spinal control, right? And as you give it up, you give him a pillow and tuck him in here, just squeeze him against your ribs and your hip. You want your partner to be kind of like looking upward. You're not trying to smash their face. You're trying to keep him looking up so his nose is pointing right towards the ceiling, okay? And I tuck my foot in and I sit down, okay? This one is gonna step over and make it a lot easier. Little detail here, okay? This foot is gonna actually step on the inner thigh of his leg here, because if I put it just relaxed here or all the way across, when I go this way, he might pinch his knees together. And then I can't get that second hook, okay? Whereas, if I keep that foot planted on his inner thigh here, let's rotate this way. Small details, okay? When I fall this way, and he thinks, okay, Clark's gonna put that second hook in, I better hide my leg, pinch my knees together, I keep it open until that second foot comes in, okay? Once you guys are here, obviously you have a ton of options, right? What I a lot of times like to do, seems a little rough, but I'll make him, kind of beg me to just throw on the choke. And what we'll do here is I'll take my forearm, sorry about that, I told you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drag his head backwards a little bit, so it's a little bit of like a hyperextension here. Put my thumb in first, and then he's so uncomfortable because his neck is doing this, that when I give his neck back and he's relieved, he's put himself into the choke. Okay, so this is a little extra detail again, from the Kimura grip, instead of just doing this, which he's gonna fight for sure, I'm gonna drag his head back like that. Right? So from like my forearm on his forehead. Thumb goes inside. Now this hole that's in between my bicep and forearm, I'll make it bigger for his head to slip in. He gets relief that he wants, and I get the choke that I want. Maybe this hand takes his wrist, step over, and we go for our finish. Okay, you can either step over, cross, stretch back for your finish, or if he's trying to block that, I really like this knee, stepping heavy on his shoulder and pressing down here. So you don't have to go all the way over. You're just kind of like carving down on that collarbone, that shoulder here, okay, in order to get that finish. This is also great. This is fine too, okay? So again, to recap, we can't break the grip. We come off, we give him a pillow, we wrap the head, step up, sit down. We want the back, right? We're stepping through here, we fall to the other shoulder. Keep connected, don't lose the head. Bump him up, with a second look in. You can always go back to the arm bar if you like, or you can go for the choke either this way or a little bit of a more aggressive way. You drag his head back, put the thumb inside before you let the head go, and shoulder behind his head. Use the leg to help you finish by either crossing or knee pressing down over his collarbone. Go for the finish. Okay? And of course on the arm bar, which is super easy, right? From the Kimura, step up, step down, don't let this go, step over, find your legs crossed. Now I can let go and start to work. However you like. Okay? In that kind of order. So you guys take your choice. If you have any questions, let me know. I know there's a lot of little details, but very simple movement. We're going from Kimura to armbar or Kimura to back, and then with the submission of your choice. Okay? Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. Psychic. Okay, it could be psychic choke, it could be north-south. If you guys have questions along the way, feel free to ask. Okay, just open to ask. All right. All right. So maybe I'm trying to turn him this way, and maybe he turns really fast, actually towards me before I could connect. Go ahead, keep turning like you want to go for a single leg and get up to me. Yeah, and I miss it. I couldn't get it. Okay, that could happen, or maybe side control. You know, another option is when I'm blocking his hip and he's trying, let's say he tries to get guard a little bit here, just like go to guard, he's gonna be blocked, his legs, right? He can't get to guard because I built a wall there, right? So when his next option from there, maybe you guys can coach him where he can tell you guys where he will go, but I'm gonna guide him into the submission here. Let's see what happens. So I'm blocking him from going to guard, right? If he's turning in and he can't get guard, what's his plan B? What's his next move? Yeah, probably he's gonna be getting to his knees again, right? He's gonna be turning in, good. When you do go to your knees, do that again, please, nice and slow. Look, if he goes over my arm, go ahead, get to your knees. If I have an underhook, it's gonna be really hard for him to do that, okay? So it's really important that when you choose to turn in, this hand goes under my arm, okay? So now you're clear from the underhook, and go ahead and turn to your knees now. You're gonna have a lot easier chance to finish to the top, good. When you do that, I have a small window here as you shoot under my arm to maybe go for the Kimura again. Okay, as well. Okay, so when he goes from pushing me away here and he goes to bridge to shoot his hand under, I can probably follow it and find it here, right? But as he shoots in, if he's very fast and I miss it and he keeps coming to his knees, looks like I don't have a Kimura, right? Or maybe I still do, right? That one's really easy to get, right? It's always just waiting there for you. Super easy, right? And very unexpected most of the time. Okay? So anytime your partner is looking to wrestle up, or maybe he just shot a takedown and he ended up in that position, okay? And you just find that Kimura, okay? Although in that position, you're not using the Kimura so much as a finish at that moment. You're gonna use it more for control, okay? So I'm blocking the hip. Maybe you wanna guide your partner into a submission, right? All I have to do, look, have this arm on the outside. Don't forget about head control for this one. Okay, let the head control go. Make it inviting for him to turn in, and make it obvious that he cannot go to guard by blocking the hip. Make it even more inviting. It's too good to be true. I'm gonna give him some space, right? I lift up, easy for him to turn in, right? But look what he does. He gives me his arm. From here, you wanna go for it? Go for it, okay? But he was too fast for you. The plan didn't work. Go ahead, shoot it again. He was too fast. I missed it. He got up anyways. Plan B, still on the Kimura on the other side, right? Very rare is anyone going to be in this position and close their elbow to their side like that, because here he can't defend his neck. He's not blocking his back. He's usually reaching for my leg to try to put me down, which makes the space wide open for me to get that Kimura grip, okay? Now, most people would sprawl in my place, right? They don't want to get taken down, right? But this one, after we have this grip, we're going to invite him to do the takedown. And even if he doesn't take me down, I'm going to make him take me down anyways, okay? Because from here, a whole new world of control for the Kimura will present itself. And you have a lot of options, okay? If you're not ready for all those options, you got to this position, quick escape, throw your leg on top of his face, and find your way to get up, and look where you land. Ready to finish it, okay? In control, all right? After you force yourself to get taken down, which sounds kind of crazy, he goes to sit up from here. Naturally, he's going to want to get up. I have a great opportunity to go for arm bar. Or, after I took myself down, he goes to get up. I can also start looking for the back. Okay? So either of these are going to be great options for you. I think the arm bar is a little easier. You can always go back to it as well from the arm bar, as you guys know. Okay, well, this is a great little seems like a long route, but you can still get there. Do you want to see it? Sure. All right. Who can I do this? Hold on. Good job. So again, starting from side control, you probably get here at some point, most days, right? Hopefully. And what we're just going to do is, instead of holding with the underhook and head control, which makes it really hard for him to turn in, right? To wrestle up to his knees, but it makes it easier for him to get to guard because I'm not blocking his legs exactly. So what I'm going to do is make him avoid the guard option and make it inviting by not cross-facing him, right? Make it more inviting. So I'll even relax some of the weight that's on him. He's going to look for that underhook, and when he does, if I can follow it, boom, I have the Kimura here. If he's too fast, then I go for the other one, okay? You have plenty of time for either one, especially this one, okay? Most people are going to want the takedown here. If he takes me down or not, even if he doesn't take me down, I'm going to put my foot here, and with this foot on the floor and throw myself back, I'm going to pull this elbow backwards, forcing him into this position that I want to land in. Now, the secret in this position really is not holding his arm tight, because I want to stop him from getting up quickly from here. So what I'm going to do is think like his arm is like a seatbelt, and I'm going to push it across his chest and his waist like that. So I just extend both arms. Again, this hand, not holding your wrist, but overextending helps a lot, okay? By just really going bone to bone for this one, okay? So when he goes to get up, naturally he's going to want to get up, and naturally he's going to want to face my head, right? He's not going to go towards my legs. Yeah, he's coming this way the way you are. See how I can make it kind of hard for him to get up, especially if I can stay on my side? So I'm able to slow him down a little bit. Eventually, with a little hip escape, I throw my leg over his face, make it even harder for him to get up. And then using my head and shoulder, I get to my knee and come right to north-south, right? Back to the position, but this time with a firm submission ready to go, okay? He's extra flexible. Remember, knuckles to the lower back, elbow to the outside, sprawl on his stomach, and continue rotating slowly to get the tap. Okay? Okay, I think this is a great little long route, because from here, if I say, man, I want to Kimura him, it's going to be so hard for me to force him into it. It seems like a submission that's hard for me to disguise. And this is where we're going to disguise the submission from kind of far away, right? We're going to make it where he's going to want to extend his arms. Why? Because he's looking to get to his knees. He's looking for the single leg. Go ahead, start working the same thing. Bridge, hip escape, turn in. I try this one, I miss it, I go for this one. Okay? He puts me down maybe this time. He pulls and pushes out really hard. He goes down with me because I'm holding that arm, right? I just pull it back. Turn on my side, extend the arm, okay? And now you either decide to throw the leg over and start coming up like I did twice already, or if he's a little faster than I could step over his head, he starts coming up, I extend my arm. Don't let him up easy. Start coming up. Yeah. He's going to try to come up. Look, I can either go for his back already. Okay, a lot of guys will bridge just like how he is. Like, do that bridge again. A lot of guys do that. And look, 1, 2, take the back. Easy back take from here. Or if he sits up without leaving his butt from the floor, like this, look, knee scoots under, leg goes over the face, quick entry into armbar, and only at the end, look, I switch my grip. I never even have to sit up on that armbar, right? Okay, so you have 3 options from this position. If he bridges, take the back. If he sits up, 1, 2, knees together, finish that armbar. Or if I want to stay in control and I want to stay on top, roll my leg over his face, head up to my knees, finish here or finish here. Okay. So kind of depending on who you're going with, how fast they are, how heavy they are, if you want to risk letting them get on top of you or not, you might make that choice according to those factors. Okay, any questions before we move on? Yeah.
Just for the back take, is it the same choke setup from previous?
Actually, I'm not really getting into the submission once I get to the back. I'm just getting to the back, and you guys can have the freedom to choose from there. But a lot of times from here, he's gonna want to get up, and if it's stuff like that, I could take the back. But if he bridges, especially, it's easy for me. One thing to remember once you're here, I really recommend whatever you do, don't go this way. Because if you're here, he's on his way out, and just naturally from this position, I cannot armbar him anymore because my leg is stuck. Okay, so anytime you have the Kimura grip, your armbar is a great option, great source of submission for you. So try to always lean him towards the side of the arm. That way, you keep your leg always free to do that armbar. All right, and you can make an active choice to lean this side. Okay. Other than that, yes, you can go back to the same submission with drag the face, grab that grip, loop around, boom. You're definitely in position to apply that. Little trick if you want, or just go to seatbelt, or feed the lapel, or whatever you like to do from here. Really, the position is open to explore and build off of. But if you like that armbar, I like to move the elbow behind the head, push the head, step over, and keep my back on the floor the whole time. Okay. Any other question? All right, let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3.